Welcome back, y'all, and happy Wednesday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. Today, we have a lot of things to cover. We'll talk a little bit about the basketball team that lost to Florida last night. Obviously, that's the first loss of the season, and Tennessee was the last unbeaten team in all of college basketball. So I'll give you my thoughts on that game. We also need to talk some about Coach Tim Banks. There's some updates right there. And I want to talk about some new transfer portal targets for Tennessee, maybe what it means for our team, for our roster, for what the plan is moving forward. And we will be kind of breaking down our defensive line moving forward for 2025. Please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. So let's actually start off with Coach Tim Banks, because we had talked about him potentially going on to Clemson because they were targeting him. But it sounds like, whoever backed away. We don't know if Coach Tim Banks turned him down and said, no, I don't want to come there, or if Clemson said, no, we're good. We're going to go in a different, we're going to go look at some different options. And it does sound like their top option at this point is going to be, let me bring this up for those of y'all that did not see this on the previous stream, but it looks like it's going to be Al Golden from Notre Dame. And, he was one of my top three, right? Because this right here is from me saying if Tim Banks does leave, these will be the top three DCs that I want to go after. Okay, so obviously Clemson gets it. It looks like for me, teams are looking more for DCs that like to bring pressure, that like to blitz, because football is it goes in cycles. Sometimes defenses do better whenever they sit back and drop 8 and don't and only bring 3. Sometimes defenses do better whenever they're playing man-to-man coverage and bringing a whole bunch of pressure. For me, I think that if you are bringing pressure more times than not, I would say, especially like in passing situations, you're probably going to win most of those battles, because these quarterbacks are not very well versed, and really even offenses don't have a whole lot of like check down reads, things like that. They don't have a whole lot of that on the college level. Now in the NFL, it's different. You'll see a whole bunch of like short routes, quick routes based off of the blitz. You kind of throw out the blitz. They're better at dealing with that than teams are in college, which is why I've been saying, hey, Coach Tim Banks, for us to blitz as little as we did last season, that is a problem. Now, let me see. So this right here is just showing y'all the roster talent between those 4 teams. Now, this right here are the, pass blitzes from the 4 coordinators that we were talking about. Okay, so this is going to be obviously Tennessee, Michigan. So that's Michigan's defense, that's Notre Dame's defense, Penn State's defense, and Tennessee's defense. That's just how we're blitzing. So if you look at Notre Dame, you see that they are blitzing. Actually, I got to make this bigger so that I can see it better. So they are, or this past season, they have been blitzing at about a 36% rate. And versus the pass, they are blitzing at about 41.1%. That's the same as Penn State. Michigan blitzes even more at 42.6% versus the pass, and they're at 38% just, from top to bottom. So I think that this is where college football is, I think that this is where things are kind of trending to. This is what you want. You want the coordinators that are going to be bringing the pressure. So, it makes sense to me that Clemson would say, hey, we want to go after Golden from Notre Dame. Now, what does this mean for Tennessee? Obviously, it means that Coach Tim Banks is probably going to be sticking with us. Now, he's had the contract on his desk for months. He hasn't signed it just yet, but I would expect that's going to be coming up here pretty soon, because he's not being mentioned or rumored to be going on to any other program. So that means that we will get him back. He's going to have to pick up those blitzes. That's the biggest thing for me. And just kind of mix up all the looks on defense. And we might actually have a whole nother video, and we've kind of talked about this for the past week or so, just showing you more of how the defense looks. But that one might be for members only. So not quite sure how we're going to work that out just yet. But let me get to my dog right here, who is joining us this afternoon. Now, my dog G White, what's going on, brother? Saying excellent choices if Banks leaves, and hope he gets cough promoted out. LOL, go Big Orange. Yeah. I'm gonna tell y'all, like, I think that Coach Tim Banks is a really good DC, but the other 3 DCs, the other 3 teams, their DCs that we're looking at right now, I would honestly probably take them over Coach Banks. And I've been very vocal, and I will continue to say it. I would take Michigan's DC right now today, because what he's done with, they've had talent. They've definitely had some really good talent, but really they've done more of, bringing in players and making them really, really good. And I think that a lot of that has to do with their scheme. Like, think about it. Their pass rush looks good. So their D-line, they've got a lot of prospects there. but they're secondary. They also have several prospects there. They go hand in hand. You don't hear a whole lot of talk about their linebackers, but their linebackers also look good. For me, if your front four is doing a great job, front three, front four, whatever, if you're doing a good job getting pressure on the quarterback, then, and that back end guys are, you're playing coverages that make sense, that, that are taking advantage of the weaknesses of the team that you're playing, that take advantage of your strengths. I've seen him doing that. That's the guy that I would love to have, but probably not going to happen, because if it's not Coach Banks, if Coach Banks does for whatever reason decide to go somewhere else, it's probably going to be Coach Inge, and I think the Coach Inge could do some nice things. But wanted to get that out the way. Let me put this down. So let me get to the next one right here from David Speaks. Thank you for joining us. Saying, I feel like we are going to see what players are leaving from the Final Four teams left. Yeah, I mean, hey, you could be exactly right. I think at this point they kind of have to, right? Just because we missed out on pretty much everybody else. Everyone else that was a major target or that was really good, we kind of missed out on them. Now, there are a couple players that we will be talking about today that could help Tennessee out, I think, in a very, very big way. But, I don't know if you want to live that way. I don't know if you want to say, hey, well, we're going to be really patient and wait and see. If the right person is there, you need to go get them right now, because you have no idea. That's just, that would just be guesswork. Let's not guess. Let's get this stuff right. All right, let's get to another one right here from my dog, G. White, saying, if he says, can he be taught to bring more pressure? He did the same thing at PSU. If he were to fix that, bring the pressure. Yeah, I think that's the whole thing. And he's talking about Coach Banks. If he would just bring more pressure, man, this defense would have been a lot better. And as we touched on before, really the offense has to help the defense out too. The offense took major steps back this past season. 2023 wasn't good either. So, we have things to get figured out, but you have to bring more pressure. If you're not getting pressure with your front four, then you got to manufacture it by blitzing. We've said that a million times. From David Speaks, saying Eckler might leave for Nebraska. Yes, I have heard that special teams job. Maybe Coach Chop gets his job. So that's a very interesting point. I'm very glad that you brought that up, because that's something that we had kind of skipped over. When people were asking about Coach Eck, should Tennessee keep him? I kept on saying, yeah, of course. But I was not thinking that, hey, Coach Chop might want that job. He might need that job to stick around. And Coach Chop, as far as going out and getting players from the high school ranks and really out of the transfer portal, he has been instrumental. And he's also doing a really good job of coaching up our guys up front. You move him now to the Leos coach. Can they take a step forward? Because that, I want to say that was actually, with Coach Eck, he's the outside linebackers coach and the special teams coach. I would think that maybe you could have a, outside linebackers coach and maybe a special teams coach, but you can only have so many, I guess, technical coaches. Either way, I would love to be able to hold on to Coach Eck some type of a way. But if we have to lose Coach Chop to keep Coach Eckler, which I don't know that that's the case by any means, then yeah, you want to hold on to Coach Chop. I think the Coach Chop right now, he is a superstar. He's an up and coming superstar, and we had to hold on to him at all costs. And I would most definitely miss Coach Eckler. So let's come on to the next one from G. White, saying Boogie Bentley with Talking Vols. Him and I have a major disagreement about the pressure and Banks. In his eyes, Banks, not Garner, has carried the LOL say, wait a second, has carried the, hold on, because I can't see exactly what that says. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, has carried the what, I don't know what that means, but so LOL say what, to me Garner is way more so. So if you're saying, so I think that G, what you're saying right here is that y'all were kind of going back and forth saying that Coach G is more responsible for the lack of pressure than Coach Tim Banks is. And it sounds like you were siding more saying that now Coach Banks is the one that brings the pressure. Of course, it's all about the coordinators. The coordinators are ultimately overall going to be responsible, more so than even each individual coach. I would say a lot more. Because listen, I mean, Coach G, he's tried and he's proven. I would say that, yeah, Coach Banks has got to manufacture more pressure. If you're seeing that your four aren't getting there, like you can't all of a sudden mid-game or anything change what they're doing necessarily. Not, I don't think too much, but he's the one that calls all the stunts. He calls all the blitzes. So yeah, that's, to me, that falls on Coach Banks all day long. Okay. So he's saying carried the D. So let me see if I come back to that and reread it. Maybe I'll get it right this time. Okay, so he's saying that in his eyes, Banks, not Garner, has carried the defense. Yeah, no, I would I don't know. I think that Coach Banks has done a good job in some situations of um of calling some good things, but really this defense was so talented. You know what I'm saying? Like, G, to your point, the front four, they were really good. And we rotated plenty of bodies. We kept them fresh. That's a Coach G thing. And the secondary, especially talking about those cornerbacks, that's a Coach Nez thing. You know what I'm saying? I think that they played well, but also really it was more about their talent. Like a lot of the stuff that they did was based off of sheer talent. So I really think that Coach Banks, as well as he did, he really, and I know this is kind of nitpicking. Some people might hate for me to say this, but I'm just keeping it real with y'all. He probably could have done a better job. Like the defense probably could have had better stats if he brought more pressure. So yeah, I think we're on the same page with that. Now let me get to just a couple more from David Speaks saying USC lineman. Hopefully, yes, we will be talking about him today. All right, so let me go on ahead and well, you know what? Before we get to that, I want to talk just briefly here about the basketball team. I'm gonna pull up those stats. So let me talk about that real quick because I know some people have been like, "Oh my gosh, the basketball team lost and we got blown out and we suck and this and that." Listen, basketball is like that. This is not football. Basketball, baseball, it is a long season. You're gonna have games like this where you're just off. Tennessee was just off in this game. So showing you the team stats right here. And actually, if you look over here to the left, you'll see our actual field goal percentage compared to Florida. So we were shooting at about 21% from the field, which is horrible. And Florida was at 39.7, which isn't great either. As far as the 3 points, about 14% for Tennessee, 30% for Florida. That's good for them, but that's not great either. Turnovers, we had more than them. We had 12. So we had one more than they did. As far as the rebounds go, they out rebounded us 55 to 38. So, excuse me. So they had 17 more rebounds than we did. That was a place where we did not do a good job. But it was really just because we were missing shots. You know what I mean? Like, look, y'all, we was just off. Okay. Like we were getting good looks. It's not a lot of it, especially to start the game off, wasn't because Florida was playing this great defense. Like we're getting the looks that we wanted, and we could not hit a shot. So that goes a very, very long way. We lost the game 73 to 43. So we lost about 30 right there at the end. Dubar, for some weird reason, decides to foul and give them free throws. So we would have lost by 28. Then we end up losing by 30 because of that. But yeah, I mean, if you just kind of go through here, looking at some of the, like stat lines and things like that as far as points go, we'll start off with Chaz. He only had 10 points. He's averaging about 20 points per game. So again, he was just off. He was 3 of 16 from the field. That's not good by any means. ZZ, he's got to his 10 points. That's about what he averages. So, it wasn't a horrible game scoring from him. Well, how many turnovers? He had 3 turnovers. A lot of lackadaisical stuff with the basketball. That'll always get you. Igor, 8 points. He really didn't do much of anything. Same thing. A lot of folks just were not hitting shots. I think that Felix did a good job on defense. But we got to get rebounds. Him and Igor got to get more rebounds. Cage Phillips, we all know that he was kind of banged up. I thought that he did some nice things. He didn't score any points. I was happy to see Bishop Boswell get out there. I think that he needs to play more. And I've said this for the past couple of streams now talking about our basketball team. He's got to start to play more. We need to get ZZ some rest. And he looks good to me. Now, he's not perfect or anything, but you got to get him out there early now, right? And I think even Coach Barnes talked about, hey, this might be a good thing for us. I think that it is too. Like, go ahead and get the loss out of the way now, and let's kind of like start it back over. Let's start a new streak, and let's look at what we didn't do correct, and let's fix that. So, I think that we're fine from that perspective. Jordan Gainey, 7 points. I think that his averages might be 10 or something like that. So he's a little bit below his average. Really tough game. One for 11 from the field. That's not good, guys. That's not good at all. So that pretty much is what, that's pretty much what happened in this game. And you can even see what their best guy for Florida was Elijah Martin. He had 18 points. And then, Condon, the big man, he had 12. He had a really nice game. They weren't really calling fouls fair. There's a lot of things that we could look at and say, hey, this was a game that, I'm not super upset that Tennessee lost. Now, I will also say this here for y'all real quick. I don't think that Florida is as good as people say they are. And I couldn't do the live stream or anything yesterday talking about this game, but that was something that if I could have done it, I would have told y'all pregame. Florida is not all that. I think Arkansas is a better team. I would not be surprised to see Florida be, like a one and done sort of a team in the tournament. I'm just not overly impressed with them. There wasn't much that they did to stop Tennessee. We stopped ourselves. If we played them again, I think that we would win that game by like 20 some points because we are a lot better than that team typically. Just had a really bad night, and that is going to happen with basketball. So just some quick thoughts right there. I wanted to make sure that I did touch on that real quick for everybody. Now, let's move on. And actually, let me get to some more chats because I do like to try to stay ahead of all that. Let's see. Where are we at right here? Okay. All right. So here we go right here. From David Speaks is saying we need to blitz more with the embarrassment of riches with returning pass rushers, Josephs, West, Ross, Herring, etc. Yeah. I mean, I think that I understand that just trying to get pressure with 4 and saying, hey, we're going to help out more in coverage. But sometimes the pressure helps out more with the coverage. Heat the quarterback up. You know what I mean? Like that's something that we definitely have to do. We need to be blitzing over, pass blitzes should be over 40% next season. No questions asked. And I think that we will improve, especially with our linebackers and coverage. I think that we got a lot more athletic there, so that should help us out. But at the same time, I mean, help them out by bringing more pressure. Like let's do more of that. So hopefully that is going to be what the game plan is moving forward. And right here from GY saying he agrees with me 100%. Thank you for that. From Mike Fink saying, thanks for addressing the hoops meltdown. I was shocked at the beatdown. Yeah, I mean, it's just it literally, y'all, basketball's like that. Like you're gonna have iffy games like that. Like it's gonna be hot and cold. I'm not concerned about this team. Can we produce when it counts? We got to find some more people to help. Dang, I can't think of his name right now. Chaz. We got to find more people who can help out Chaz whenever he's not hitting. Somebody's got to step up. We can't have everybody be off. That was the same problem that we had last season. We cannot have that. I think that Dubar looks very uncomfortable. He's another one. He's got to find some comfort, and he's got to just like relax. Just relax and play basketball. Have confidence in yourself. If you're open, then shoot. I think that maybe the same thing could be kind of said about Meshack. And he did. He was taking shots. I'm proud of him for that. He was taking his shots. He was taking shots when other folks was passing them down. We passed up, especially like after that slow start, we started to pass up a whole lot of open looks. You can't do that. Take the shot. You got to keep on shooting. They'll start to fall. They didn't they didn't in that game, but a lot of that thing was based off of the hesitation. So anyway, it was just a really bad game. I don't think that necessarily says who this team is. This team's going to be fun. So from GY saying, I think the loss was to get the number one target. Hold on, let me make this bigger, y'all, because it's hard for me to see. All right, so I think the loss was to get that number one target pressure off their backs, and happens in early road games like this. All the number ones last year lost high-ranked road games, growing pains. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember. I want to say, I don't remember. Did UConn lose a guy? I don't remember. Yeah, so UConn did lose to somebody, so they didn't run the daggum tables either. Yeah, I mean, it's better to lose it at this point and get it fixed. It's all about how do you look heading into tournament play. For me, it's about championships. Basketball, I don't even get too upset about losses. You know what I'm saying? Like unless it put us out, and you know what I'm saying? Like losing in basketball, it's not that big of a daggum deal. So from Range Cook saying, I predict we'll return to the true spread offense considering Stays leaving and receivers seeming frustrated with less opportunities and 12 personnel. Thoughts? So my thoughts on that. So going from, I'm going to tell you something I've looked at here recently is that we actually were way more productive with 12 personnel. If you look at the games that we lost, we played significantly less 12 personnel. So versus Georgia, versus the Buckeyes, even versus Arkansas, wasn't that much 12 personnel. And it's almost like a direct correlation with how well the offense produced to how much 12 personnel we did play last season. So I think that just as far as Holden Stays leaving, Holden Stays is one of many tight ends that Tennessee has. The tight end room is going to be even deeper this year, as crazy as that might sound. So we're going to have Miles Kisselman coming back, Ethan Davis. We're going to have Cole Harrison, who was a freshman last year, and he was starting to pick up weight. He's going to be really good. We have Brame, and we have Jack Van Dorsalier. So we're going to have more scholarship bodies that can really play. And I don't know if necessarily Holden Stays leaving us is going to dictate us running less 12 personnel, unless what you're saying right here is that Ethan Davis isn't as physical as Holden Stays is as far as a blocker. That's very true. I think that they want to get back to spreading the field out more and not running as much 12 personnel. But at the same time, if you can run 12 and flex out a wide receiver or flex out a tight end as a wide receiver like an Ethan Davis, Why not do that? Why not do that with the tempo to really throw teams off and give them a whole bunch of different looks? To me, that's what would be daily, and hopefully that could help out with some of the scheme stuff that we're doing. But that's the biggest thing for me, is about the actual route combinations and things like that. That's what needs to get fixed for the wide receivers to do more, and to have better stats than they did last season, and to keep everybody happy. We also have to make sure that we're rotating in plenty of people. Got to keep them fresh. So from series to series, if we want to be running tempo, then from series to series. But if we do have a break, if we want to take a pause, bring in some more people. Just keep on doing that, you know. So yeah, I think there will be some changes. Exactly how that looks, I don't know. I can't say for sure if we're going to run less 12 personnel, just because if you look at last season, the 12 personnel was our most, that was our best personnel for sure. From David Speaks saying that was an ice cold night. I like the blizzard coming this week, y'all. It's a reality check. Being number one isn't as important as it used to. March is what matters. 100%. That's what matters. It's all about winning the whole thing, because people forgot about your losses. You know what I'm saying? Like I just talked about UConn. Did they lose last season? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So from James Duke saying, number one team in the country losing about 30 points. There's no excuse for that crap. I disagree with that. I mean, I see what you're saying, but there's absolutely no reason for us to be up in arms over that. We just played a terrible game. We could not hit shots. We just couldn't hit shots. We actually looked a little bit tired too. We're not getting boards and stuff. I mean, it was just a bad game. It's perfectly fine. It's a long season. No need to get super upset. Again, it's not football. Totally different sport. Much longer season. From Jordan Boyd saying, I can't believe we shot so poor. Yeah, that's what did it for us. From James Duke, that wasn't the same thing I've seen for the last 14 games that play with heart. They just collapsed. I don't know if it's necessarily just about the heart. Now, I would say, as you know, towards the end of the game, they weren't playing as hard, but we started the game off playing just as hard as we always have. We're playing hard. That the defense was good. I mean, look, Florida, scored 100-something points in the previous game. We held them like 72 or, whatever. It's not like Florida just went off. Like they started to do some things towards the end, but I mean, look, they almost didn't even break 70 points. They were close to not even, to barely breaking 60. So I think the effort was there. We just couldn't shoot. We just couldn't hit. We just could not hit shots. All right. So I'm going to pause from that right now, y'all. And then we'll get to actually, let me finish this because it's not that many. All right. So from FS saying our inside linebackers have to do better. Yeah, I think that they actually played a lot better this season than they did last year. I mean, it took like huge steps forward. Way better. Now, do they need to continue to get better? For sure. They have to continue to grow and all that. And, AC and JT, they played a lot. So I know that they will grow. I think that Edwin Spillman looked really good. So, we've got three guys that we know should be capable. They're only all going to get better. Jordan Burns looked really good. We got an influx of youth coming in. So I think that the linebackers are going to be fine. I think that's going to be one of the best position groups on this team next season. That's just my thoughts on it. Let's get to James Duke right here. Counting on a lot of young players to step up next year. Hopefully we do something in the portal on the next open date. I gotta show up some depth. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that we're going to lean more on those younger guys. I think that that's what the plan is, because we got some good young players that and we've had them. We just haven't really played them. They're going to have to take their lumps, but they'll be towards the end of the year. You know what I mean? And that's, again, it's the same thing with every single sport. If you can make it to the playoffs, make it to the tournament, and, that's the biggest thing. And then how are you playing once you get in there? That's the thing, because even if you look at the freaking Buckeyes, I mean, from what they look like in the regular season compared to what they have looked like over the past couple of weeks in the playoffs, it's not even close. Like, they're not even close to the same team. Not even close. That the team that we're seeing right now would be undefeated up to this point. So what I'm saying, like, if they play like this from the start of the season, but they got hot at the right time. Now, are they taking some type of PEDs? I wouldn't be surprised. Is that to me, is that drastic of a difference? It's almost like if you think back to the Seahawks back when, they were really good. And, they came out later on and said, hey, we're all, popping Adderalls and stuff. It almost looks like that. Like, it looks like they're doing something for sure. There's no question. Like, you don't just all of a sudden, and as good as that roster is, you don't just, turn it on like that. I mean, I would be hard pressed to believe that that's true. Something else is going on. But I think that stuff is about to start catching up with them. And I actually just, real early, I think that Texas is going to end up winning that ball game. I think Texas matches up very well with them. So from David Speaks also saying, with one of those Penn State running backs go into the portal, should we go all in on them? I don't think that you want to go all in on a running back that's got a bigger name, because all we're going to do, because so look, the thing is, y'all, we have 4 scholarship running backs. 2 of them are going to be freshmen. I don't think that it's wise to go out and get a veteran to replace a freshman, because we're going to need those freshmen moving forward. See what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to basically, like rob Peter to, to a pay Paul. We need to add another body. We need 5 bodies in there. So you got to be careful with who you add. And we will have a video coming out, I think, hopefully for y'all today, kind of talking about really good running back target that I absolutely love. All right, so let's talk about the transfer portal players, y'all. We're going to start off with Emmanuel Pregnon. Okay, he's the first one right here. He is a guard from USC, and he's played left guard all season, listed at 6'5", 320 pounds. I want to say that he started his college career off at Wyoming, then he transferred to SC. But there's a lot of good things. And actually, I'm gonna pause this for just a second, y'all. Let me pause this, because there's another thing that I wanted to show y'all here very quickly. So first, let me show you this, okay? And let me make this bigger. Let me show you this. So this is going to be from Pro Football Focus. It's just showing the pass blocking stats. And actually, I'm going to see if I can remove myself and make this as big as possible so that y'all can see it even better. All right, so that's not going to work, because you're not going to be able to hear me. All right, so anyway, let's pull this back up. So basically, what we have right here from Pro Football Focus, y'all know that we don't really look at the grades. We look more at, the sacks and the pressures and all that type of stuff. So we have Wendell Moy up at the top. If you are looking at the grades, he would have the best pass blocking grade out of all the players that we're going to be looking at. Then we have Josh Thompson up under him, at, also at number 24. Obviously, he's the guard from Northwestern that went on to LSU. Then we're going to have the next one is going to be Emmanuel Pregnon, who we're just kind of like looking at his film. We'll finish up with that. Then we have Javonte Spraggins and Andre Carrick. So I just wanted to show y'all how their numbers look with Pro Football Focus so that we can see the differences. So number one, all the potential transfer portal players, which would be the first 3, all right, none of them gave up any sacks. They didn't give up any sacks according to Pro Football Focus. And then if you come down to the last 2, Spraggs and then Carrick, they both gave up 2 sacks apiece. So we're already seeing that we went out and targeted players that weren't giving up as many sacks as the players that we had last season. Now, let's come back up to the top with Wendell Moy. He gave up 11 pressures, and the pressures will be all the way to the far right. I know it might be kind of difficult for you to see that, but all the way to the very, very far right. He gave up 11 pressures. Next is Josh Thompson. He only gave up 7 pressures. So he would be, from top to bottom, the best guard that we're going to be talking about. That's why I keep on going back to it. It was a mistake to me to not get him whenever we had the chance to not finish that, because now that we're talking about potentially adding another guard, what do we say? Probably means that Andre Carrick will not be returning. So we could have very easily gotten Josh Thompson and had a great guard, and I'll probably will not let that go for the rest of the season unless the ones that we bring in look great. But Wendell Moy, he looks really good compared to our guards. Now let's talk about Mr. Pregnon. Again, 0 sacks, but he had 18 pressures. That will be the most out of all the guards that we're talking about today. So all the other transfer portal guards and our guards from last season, according to Pro Football Focus, he gave up more pressures than them. He was very close to a guy like Spraggs, who gave up 14 pressures, and then Andre Carrick only gave up 9. So he gave Andre Carrick gave up less pressures than Wendell Moy, but he gave up more sacks. What does all this mean? It might not mean a whole lot to you, but I just wanted to show you how comparable this guard that we're looking at right now from SC is to what Tennessee had last season. Again, didn't give up any sacks, so that does make a difference. Now, let's bring this thing back, and let's kind of start off right here. So, it's going to start off with the pass blocking stuff. What I love about him is he has really good feet. He does a good job with his hand placement. He has really good body control for the most part. Now, I have seen on some of the clips where his body control, I've seen him kind of get tossed around some, just like our offensive linemen have, since Coach E has been here, but it hasn't been a whole lot. Again, I think he's going to be very comparable to about an Andre Carrick. So we're talking about basically, bringing in another one. Now, thing about it is he's going to have one more season. If Andre Carrick can't come back, then, excuse me, y'all. I think that this guy right here might be able to take that step forward. You are expecting for players to continue to get better, but he looks good from pass blocking perspective. He looks good whether he's helping, whether it's just him. When guys try to, set him up to the outside, come back to the inside, he clamps on quick. Again, his hand placement for me is great. Keeps a very nice base. He keeps his hips low and things like that. So now we're getting into his run blocking, and he does a good job moving bodies. Okay. It's not always spectacular, but he looks good. He definitely looks good enough. I think that this will be a great addition to our team. Even pulling, look at that. Really good job of being flush whenever he's pulling around. We talked about that yesterday. You need to be able to do that within our scheme. We'll also see him on some of these really getting low. It might be this one right here. No, it's not this one. This is a combo, but look at that. That's a really good push on a combo block. Moving bodies. Is it this one? Yeah. So this one right here. Look at that. He gets low. Okay. That was probably a 4th and short, but this is a really good look. You want the offensive lineman that can get low. Watch him on this one again. Okay. Gets low and then drives. Gets low, picks him up, drives. Looks like almost, kind of like a power clean, something like that. That's what all that heavy lifting is for. That's what all those compound movements are for, core movements. So he's really good at those types of things. So anyway, I think that he could be a good piece for us for sure. I think that he could come in and it's probably going to be a starter. The thing about it is him and Wendell Moy both played left guard. So who's going to be on that right side? I don't know. That's going to have to be earned because, again, on the right side is going to be better run blockers. And then the left side is going to be better pass blockers. I actually think that Wendell Moy, is probably better at both of them. So I don't know. But I think that we should be fine if we can add him. He is going to be coming in this week on a visit. I don't know what day, but that's been. I think that NACO said that. I've seen the insiders at On3, with VolQuest say the exact same thing. And I've told you, doesn't really matter who else is going to be targeting these players. Whenever we bring them in on a visit, if we want them, we can get them, and we will get them. So I would expect that Tennessee will be adding Emmanuel Pregnon to our offensive line this season. And I think, I'm just speculating here, y'all, but I think that would mean that Andre Carrick is probably gone. If Andre Carrick comes back, then that's even better because we have more depth. I absolutely love that. Now, can any of those guys play at tackle? I don't know. I don't see any of those players as tackle bodies personally. I think we've got enough tackle depth that we can figure that out. So that's the first player. Again, I think that he looks really good. Let me try to get back to where I was at, and let's keep on working through these chats. All right, where were we at? Let me see. I think that we were right here. Okay, yeah. So right here from EBRDY saying, what's with our linemen always getting hurt on PAT attempts? So that is intentional. You will see that especially whenever Tennessee scores quick. That's to give our defense more of a break. They're not really getting hurt. That is fake. Okay. Like, I hate to give away all the secrets and stuff, but I don't think that there's anything that you can necessarily do about that. I mean, maybe you could try to fine us or whatever, but I mean, hey, look, I think that we'll probably take some of those fines. But yeah, that's all that is. The players aren't really getting hurt. They're just giving our defense a rest because we got off the field so quick. So from Tristan M saying, what's up, Bull? What's going on, Tristan? Saying, don't comment much anymore, but still love watching y'all's show. Keep it up. Thank you for that. Thank you for chiming back in. From David Speaks, we need Max Anderson, Bennett Warren, and Shem Umarov to progress this offseason. Yeah, we need all those guys to step up. There's no question about that. And I know that they will. They're just going to keep on getting better. From Tristan M, we need Satterwhite to grow into the new Mays. That's a huge loss that worries me the most. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Mays he was a really good player for us. I mean, I think that Sat's going to be good. I don't know if we should necessarily expect early in the season for him to be Cooper Mays, but I think that he's a very similar player. Like, they're both smaller guys that are scrappy, that are dogs. And, I think that Cooper Mays, as much as he loves Tennessee, come on, he's been training Sat. He's been getting them right. I feel very confident to say that. So, and then, Cooper Mays is a guy that, he's going to come back and help out as much. I'm sure that he will. He's going to come back and help out as much as he possibly can. So I think that we will be fine. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a setback. It's going to be some growing pains, but it just kind of is what it is. You have to, these young guys got to step up at some point. From Detailer saying that Pregnon would be huge. And I don't know if I'm saying his last name right either, y'all, but I think that he would be too. I mean, that'd be great, especially if you're talking about Andre Carrick potentially not coming back. All of a sudden, that's a much bigger win. But man, if we could have got Josh Thompson, oh my goodness, y'all, because he is really, really, really good. He's really good. Like, to me, we talk about Ratledge from Georgia, how good of a guard he is. I don't know if I can say that Josh Thompson is that, but he's really close to it, really close. So that was, I don't know why we let that go. LSU must have been paying him a crazy amount. It had to be $3.5 million or something. it had to be something astronomical. And if it wasn't, I'm mad at the staff because I think that, regardless of who we get, they're not going to be as good as Josh Thompson. Probably would have been. But hey, man, hopefully things will all work out. Now let's talk about the next player. It is going to be Thaddeus Dixon, who is a cornerback. We said that we would talk about that today because we're going to be focused more on defense. He is a cornerback from Washington. He is a senior, and I also didn't talk about this with the previous player, but he's a senior. So both of these guys, if they do come to Tennessee, will be one and done. Now, there's no visit that I know of that's been set up with Dixon, this cornerback. But I think that there is some smoke here that potentially maybe he could be a guy. Now, I don't know that for sure, so this might be all for absolutely no reason, but we will kind of go through some of his clips because I think that he looks pretty good in coverage. So, I've seen him play at corner. I've seen him play in the slot, almost kind of like a safety body too. Now, he's only listed at $186, but he looks bigger than that, and he plays more physical than that. So I think that he does good with the shorter routes. Like, see on that one right there, what I didn't love, okay, what I don't love about this, and I'm going to go back to it. So, boom, right here. What I don't love is right here, boom. Okay, so at this point, he's about to let this wide receiver get on top of him. As a cornerback, you've got to close that distance, and you got to get a hand on that dude and slow him down and work back over the top. That's what our starting cornerbacks do a brilliant job of. Brilliant, okay? It is brilliant how they play deeper passes. We typically stay on top, and we also are able to come up on the shorter routes too. I'm not seeing as much of that from Dixon in this film, but he does so look, at this point, like this is B. Okay, I'm just going to tell y'all straight up, this is B. This should be 6 points. But, he does a good job of just kind of like working more, working back into the wide receiver's hip. And it wasn't a great, it wasn't a perfectly thrown pass. Now, this one looks a little bit better. This one looks even better. So he is still a little bit behind. But what I love here, I'm going to go back a little bit. So, boom, let me try to get, okay, to this point. So what I love right here is at this point, boom, okay, that looks good. And now, see, he closes it up quick. He closes it up quick, makes the window tighter, and he's able to get an interception from it. I think that was him who got that pick. But so anyway, that one looked a whole lot better just as far as the fade routes and going down the field. That's one of my biggest things with the cornerbacks. Do not get beat deep. That looked pretty good right there because he's standing on top and he's able to break up on this shorter route. Take away the deep stuff first. So look here, boom, look at that. See, that's perfect. That's how it's supposed to look. You stay on top, and then boom, come back up, make a break on the football. So I think that he has all the necessary skills. This one's good too. Red zone stuff, works back over. I think that he looks good in and out of his transitions for the most part. Very solid there. Here he's playing off coverage. Beautiful job getting out of his break. That was really nice. And here we got off coverage again. Let's see what we have right here. Opens up his hips, but again, closes it down quick. So he does. He looks good. I think he's a guy that we could add to maybe help us out at star or as a cornerback to kind of like rotate in, or maybe even at safety. You know what I'm saying? If Tennessee wants to maybe play more dime package, he could be a guy that you bring in, and it just gives us some more depth. He's one of the top two, I think, cornerbacks in the transfer portal at this point. So, and actually, this one right here, I want to go back to this one because this is tough, y'all. So this is him. This is him playing on the inside right here. Look at this, playing inside. Okay, the inside slot. This is very tough to do. That looked great. That's tough. This is why I'm saying I think that he could also play safety. And that would, I think, give Tennessee a huge boost because if you look at our safety bodies, we had talked about Jordan Thomas, and I went back and I was watching more of his film from 2023. Man, he doesn't look that good in coverage, but I think that some of the stuff that we saw preseason, he looked a lot better. So would he be a guy that you want to transition to playing safety? I think that he could definitely do it. But Christian Charles, Kobe Thomas, obviously also turns on. Those three guys, they're like head and shoulders above everybody else. I would say the next tier would be your John Slaughter, just as far as coverage goes. John Slaughter, he's kind of in that same ilk. I think that Marcus Gorey, he's kind of up there in that ilk. Would expect for him to get, he might be number 2 behind Boo Carter right now at the star position, but he looks very similar to Boo. I'd say he's about half a step behind where Boo is just as far as coverage goes, but he looks really good. But then, man, when you talk about all the other young guys, man, I'm going to tell you, they've got a ways to go with coverage. They've got a ways to go with their technique, with their hips being fluid, with their transitions. They've got a ways to go. So we'll see how quickly can they pick it up in the offseason, and what can these freshmen coming in, because this, this is a spot we haven't talked too much about, but maybe at star and at safety, we might see some of those freshmen actually have an opportunity to step up and maybe past some of the upperclassmen. I would say that Caleb Beasley's kind of close. He's got to work on his, on his transitions. You might want to move him to safety because as far as him playing at corner and stuff, from what I've seen, his transitions have not been great. Really haven't. He does a good job staying on top, but the underneath stuff, he's going to give up probably more than what our fan base would want to see from him. So I want to kind of point him out. He's got to definitely needs to get with somebody in the offseason, and I'm talking about work on it big time. So anyway, I think that we will be fine because we don't know how much these guys will grow. Again, a lot of the guys that I'm talking about are going to be freshmen. They're going to grow a lot from freshman to sophomore season, but the coverage is what is a little bit concerning for me. But you can always make up for the man-to-man coverage, which is more of what I'm talking about with playing more zone, especially if they're playing at safety. Just let them play more over the top coverage and mix and match and bring some pressure, and hopefully that'll be good enough. But I want us to be able to get to a point where we can go with 5 secondary players that can all come up at the line of scrimmage and play bump and run coverage. That is an elite secondary. We're not there yet. Hopefully we will get there. So let me try to get some more of these chats, y'all. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, so I think this next one right here is from David Speaks. We're going to get to this one. He's saying that he agrees with Tristan that David Sanders will lock down the right tackle like Trey Smith did some years ago. Hey, y'all could be right on that. I'm not doubting David Sanders by any means. All that I am going to tell y'all is do not sleep on the other tackles that we have inside. Like, we've got some really good players in there. I'm telling you, that's why we're not targeting tackles right now. Obviously, David Sanders is a really good talent, but I don't know how much you want to rely on a true freshman playing at tackle, because tackle is a hard position to play. One of the hardest, especially on this level in this league, SEC. Those are real dudes. From Tristan M, he's saying that, yeah, Sanders and Hurd will have both corners, but the middle scares me. They're going to have to get Nico rolling out more, keep him rolling out to buy time and avoid hits next year. Yeah, I think that we should have done more rollouts last season anyway. Like, whenever I'm going through watching these offensive linemen's film, and y'all might have noticed it with the film that we just watched with the kid from SC, there's a lot of rollouts inside of their offense. Tennessee doesn't do it as much. It's too much just straight drops. It's too much. There's not enough wrinkles. So a lot of the scheme can help with that. I'm on the same page with y'all with that. The scheme can help. Also from Tristan saying we will see what hype is made of next year for sure. 100%. We most definitely will. From D. Taylor, I don't think Dixon is better than McCoy, Gibson, or Boo. I don't think that he is either. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's going to come in and start. I'm saying he's going to come in and be, a good depth piece. Come in and be a guy that we can rotate in, because we did lose Jordan Matthews. You know what I'm saying? Who's coming up to take over his spot? One of the underclassmen, maybe. But if the staff feels like, hey, we want to be sure about it, yeah, I would go out and get a Dixon, because he looks good. He doesn't look, he's not like, look, whenever we was looking at, whenever I was looking at some of these other guys, we said, hey, they're going to be the truth. Our 2 starting cornerbacks, we told y'all, they're going to be locked down. I don't think that he's like that, but he's pretty close. I think that he fits in, and we can put him in there, and he could help give us some coverage, some better coverage with some of the other players that may not have been as good in coverage. I'm talking again about man-to-man coverage. From Mountaineer 865 saying Jordan Thomas will be back also. Yeah, so Jordan Thomas coming back is going to be really big. I just want to see how does he look in coverage more, because again, whenever I went back to 2023, man, there was times that he got turned all the way around in a circle and stuff. That doesn't look good. His transitions weren't great, but from the spring stuff that we saw, that stuff looked a lot cleaner, looked a lot crisper. He was on the same level as like a Boo Carter with his transitions, and you could tell a lot off of those drills whenever you're talking about cornerback, secondary players, period. You can tell a lot about how their coverage will look. So I think that he has taken some strides forward. We'll see how does he come off of his injury. If he can be anywhere near what we thought he would be heading into this season, then yeah, I'll love him playing at safety or at star or anywhere else to help this team out at. From Stuart Everett saying, hey, Bull, are we recruiting the DB from the same school that we just had the wide receiver commit? Yeah, so you're talking about, I don't know if his name is Samurai or how to pronounce his first name, but Matthews, I believe that's what you're talking about. Yeah, we definitely are. I think he's going to come on home to Tennessee too. But yeah, he's really good. And Tennessee, I think that we are going to go out and probably I think that we might get more wide receiver bodies in this class than maybe previously thought, because number one, we lost so many, but also wide receivers are hitting the portal more than any other position. So I think that you have to go out and get more bodies than you think you actually need. Go out and get some extra depth pieces. If you can, I would try to go out and get a guy that you say, hey, he can play on this level. He might not have super high end talent, but they love Tennessee. I would add a body like that maybe every single season that you feel like, hey, they're going to try to stick, they're going to stick with us. And hopefully in their second, third year, they can turn into a really good player for us. I think that's how you want to do that. Cornerback might be very similar. We've done a good job of holding on to our cornerbacks, knock on wood. Hope that it stays that way. But I think that you want to kind of, skill players you might want to add more than you think you actually need. Where's the next one at? Okay, so this one right here from EBRDY saying, what do you think of Larry Johnson? I really like Larry Johnson. We actually talked about him in yesterday's video. I think that he's going to be really good. Now, he's only played left tackle for us, but if he had played more right tackle, I would actually have him as probably, I would have him as the first guy to start on the right side. But he hasn't played there as much. I don't know how he's going to look, but huge guy, about 6'7", 340 pounds. He moves very well. He's a great run blocker. His pass blocking over the course of the season got like way better. His footwork is good. His body control got so much better. One of the better body controls on our offensive line, and I'm talking about everybody from last season, just was so consistent with keeping it here and not getting tossed around and stuff. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think he's a really good player, but it kind of feels like maybe he's going to end up being the backup left tackle behind Lance Hurd. And I'm fine with that. That's good depth. But I just want to make sure that we're going to give everybody a chance to play on both sides. We need to cross-train these guys, and hopefully we are doing that in practice. So from Mountaineer, 865, David Sanders should be left tackle if he's ready. Move Hurd. Well, I understand why you would say that, but I just disagree. I think that you don't want to. So number one, understand that Lance Hurd was as highly rated of an offensive lineman as David Sanders was coming out of high school, and Lance Hurd is older. Okay, so and he, came from LSU. They have a really good offensive line coach. I'm gonna tell you, honestly speaking, he looks better at LSU as a freshman than he did early on with Tennessee. He really did, and that is coaching. But he got it together. He started to figure it out, and he was one of our better offensive linemen at the end of last season. People don't think that that's true, but it is. There's something to be said about having experience going up against pass rushers in this league, going up against different blitzes and stuff. That's Nico's blind side. I would trust Lance Hurd before I would trust David Sanders as a true freshman. I think David Sanders needs to get his feet wet, started off on the right side, or maybe even if it's at guard or something. I would love for him to play tackle because it is different playing guard and tackle. But I think it's just going to be good for him to get out on the field and get acclimated to the stuff first. And then once Lance Hurd leaves at the next season, then yeah, David Sanders will be your left tackle for sure. I think that is for sure. Unless for some weird reason Tennessee ends up with a right-handed quarterback, with a left-handed quarterback, and then maybe you want to keep David Sanders on the right side to protect that quarterback's blind side. But we don't have any left-handed quarterbacks coming in, so not anticipating that would happen. That's just me personally. All right, let me get to one more right here, and then we're going to get back to kind of going through everything. From John saying, I think Dixon could start at safety. I mean, maybe. I'm going to tell you, man, Christian Charles actually looked pretty good. Kobe Thomas actually looked pretty solid. I think that Andre Turrentine is definitely one of your starting safeties. They didn't look as bad as maybe we thought. Well, maybe it's just because I was looking at them compared to the other guys, but they didn't look as bad in man-to-man coverage. We blew a couple of coverages just with really good play calls from the offense. But, I think that those guys could be fine. But, yeah, maybe he could. He would. I think that Dixon would be better in coverage than those two players. Would he be better in run support? I don't know about that. Now, he does look good in run support. I didn't put none of that in his clips today, but he does look good. He is a physical player. So, yeah, I think we could have some options there. I don't know. I haven't heard too much about it. Just one very small thing where it was brought up. One of the insiders was like, hey, we'll see if he does visit. I haven't heard any smoke about him visiting. If he does visit, I would say it's very real. All right, so let's talk about our defensive line, y'all. Let's talk about what we have returning for us next season. And actually, I'm going to pull up. This is right here. Okay, so this is how our line would look next season, potentially. Again, Bryson Easton, we don't know. They're saying that he's going to come back. But I personally, and this is just me, I don't know how his draft stock is going to look as we get closer to draft time. If his draft stock looks better, I would not be surprised to see him going to the league. Jackson Moy, David Hobbs, and also there's a couple other players. I think that Don Bailey might, obviously within our Rabbits package, he is going to play some tackle for us. But if we really get into a bind, I think that they could kind of play there too. But really today we're going to be talking about Jackson Moy, David Hobbs, Nathan Robinson, and Jamal Wallace. The last four are going to be true freshmen. We won't talk about them too much today, but I'll just say this. As freshmen, I like all those guys. I think they have really good upside, and I think that they can help us, and they will be asked to help us coming in immediately. So if y'all are watching, y'all better be getting ready because it's coming. So let's start off with Jackson Ware. All right, let's talk about him first and foremost. He looks really good. It's not going to be a ton of clips from him, but first off, he's a very, very strong player. And boom, let's let it go again. So very, very strong player, and he's quick twitched. Does a good job of getting after that quarterback. Plays with a really high motor right here. Does a great job staying inside of his pass lane. As soon as the quarterback moves, disengage whenever I want to, right? Hey, listen, I'm going to disengage whenever I want to. I was only holding you here because I'm maintaining my pass rush lanes. I'm going to go back to it. So start it right. Okay, boom. So you can see where he's at. All right, so watch him here. Hold on to him, maintain the gap. Oh, quarterback's there. See ya. Quick, right? Disengage is quick and easy. And look at the effort. Look at those long arms, and he's able to come up with that sack. So I love him from a pass rushing perspective. Really good defensive tackle as a pass rusher. Look at that, getting pressure on a quarterback. Just keeps on working. But also, I think as a run stopper, look at that. That's beautiful. Guys are trying to cut us. Very good athlete. He doesn't let people get to his legs very often out here as a run blocker. Look at that penetration. So our defensive tackles, a lot of the times with the run stuff, we're about getting penetration. And we're seeing him do that. Boom. He reminds me a lot of Bryson Eason. I think the next player, David Hobbs, he reminds me of Bryson Eason too. Right here, look at that. Does a good job of just being stout, okay? Because sometimes you want to get the penetration. And he does a good job of that here, but he also makes sure, hey, look, I got this gap first. You can't get up to my linebackers, and then I'm still going to make the play, right? I'm still going to make plays. Here, quick off the ball, man. Look at that push. My goodness. Great effort. Really high motor. So, again, I think that he's going to definitely be one of the starters for us next season, even if Bryson Eason comes back. I think it'll be him and Eason side by side, and that's a great look. We're talking about two guys that are very, very similar with their style of play. So I feel great about that. I love him as a player, and he's only going to get better. He's a guy that actually came in, I think, from Stanford, right? And I think that Coach G thought that he was just going to be like a red shirt guy, depth piece guy, which he was more of a depth piece, but he actually rotated in. So the next player is going to be David Hobbs, right? So David Hobbs is another one that reminds me a lot of a Bryson Eason. Now, he's got a whole lot of bursts. Just watch him here. Great job as a pass rusher. He's going to, just keep on moving. But look at this speed. Look at that straight line speed. Doesn't that look like freaking Bryson Eason to you? I mean, and then he makes sure that he affects the quarterback. He's going to hit him. So I love that about him. Very similar rush set right there. He's kind of bounces around, does a good job of not getting tossed around. He continues to pursue, and it's hard to move him. You know what I'm saying? He's not that easy to move on that. He didn't finish that play, but he still affected that quarterback, made him have to get the heck on up out of Dodge here. Again, really high motor, getting to the quarterback, making him have to get the football out of his hand, making the quarterback have to move out of the pocket, get him off the spot. Does a good job with his stunts and all that type of stuff too. He's a bigger guy at about 6'5", over 300 pounds, moves very well, moves like a dream. He's a future NFL player for sure. I think he's got very high draft stock potential. And as a run stopper, and we're not at that just yet. Still kind of, in his pass rush. And I think this one might be the first one where he's actually stopping the run. So look at this. Maintains that gap, disengages again whenever he wants to. Beautiful work right there. I think we'll see him on a couple double teams here too. Good job here. He took away that first gap, and then the running back goes to a different one, right? So he takes away this first gap. Boom, that one's gone. The run back or quarterback, whatever, goes to the outside, and he's able to disengage, spin around, and still make the play. So a whole lot of twitch here. Look at that. Holding the point of contact. You got to hold up at the line of scrimmage, guys. Okay, you've got to be able to do it. This is something that we're seeing on a consistent basis. This is a younger guy, right? This is a daggum young buck showing improvement. He's a vet at this point. I think this might be a double team right here. So double team. Gives up minimal ground, disengages again whenever he wants to, gets in on that play. So yeah, that's pretty much where he's at. He also gets really good pushback, penetration, and things like that. So that's pretty much where David Hobbs is at. I also love him. He's a guy that I think that if Bryson Eason doesn't come in, he is going to be a starter. He's going to rotate in very frequently. I don't think that we'll see much of a drop off from like that 3 technique. I think that we're going to be fine there. My bigger concern is more of like, where's the big old sort of body going to be coming from? And all of that. Big O, Big E. We don't have a player necessarily that's that big, but I think that Nathan Robinson, who we'll look at right now, is pretty close to it. So we'll see him in some mop-up dude. Look at that, taking on double team again, disengaging. Man, like disengaging whenever we want to. And this is one that's not that many clips just because he didn't play that much this season. So let's take it back. Nathan Robinson, he's like 6'6" or 6'7", over 300 pounds. Look at this. Double team versus NC State, disengage, and he's twitchy too. So love that. Absolutely love that about him. Boom. Okay. Strong at the point of contact. Yeah, this is versus UT Chad or whoever this is, Kent State, whoever. But look at this. I mean, not even getting moved. You're not going to move me, son. You ain't moving me. I disengage whenever I want to. I get in on plays from the line of scrimmage. I'm helping my linebackers out in several ways. Take up the blocks, get the pushback. Okay. Linebackers, whoever, safeties, whoever else coming in, I'm going to give you that chance to make the hit first. I'm going to clean it up for you. Okay. I'm going to clean it up for you because I'm a daggum dog. So that's where Nathan Robinson is. I love his ceiling now. Okay. I love this guy. I think he's going to be really good for us. He's a player for us this season. Y'all need to start getting used to that name. Nathan Robinson will be a player for this team, at defensive tackle this year. And I think he's going to make plays. I think he's going to do some really nice things. Now, as far as the pass rush and stuff, that's something that he's going to have to work on. Okay. But that will come. As he gets more reps, that will come. He's going to get there. Also, with him being so tall, having those longer arms, hey, man, 3-step drop. Work on press. Now I have to stop because, we see the ball's coming out. Quarterback's got to his hitch. Get your hands up. Okay, get your hands up. That's something that Tennessee, we did a much better job of that this past season than we did in 2023. Much better job. Big O, Big E, really all those guys getting their hands up. I think that Nathan Robinson can do a whole lot of that for Tennessee. So I feel great about the top three. I really, really do. Now let's talk about the last player right here, Jamal Wallace. Okay, now he would be kind of like that Big O, Big E sort of a body. I think he's at about 6'3", 6'4", 320 something pounds. He's somewhere in that range. But he's very twitchy. He's very twitchy. He's got a great burst. This is a kid that started off as a safety. So a safety, a linebacker, something like that. Started off as a skill guy. In COVID, he said he gained a lot of weight. And I think that now he's starting to get used to moving around with that weight. But, right there, I just like the movement. I like the kind of, burst off the football. So that looked good from him. Now right here, boom, again, same thing. Quick twitch, kind of gets into that gap. He plays with a really high motor, really high effort. So boom, again, this is versus UT Chat, but you have to like how he looks there. Hopefully he will continue to get better and he can look like this. Wow, that was good. Look at this. Look at how quick he is off of the football, kind of, playing on the, playing more on the edge right there. Great job. Now the one thing that I will say is on contact right here. Now watch as he comes up. All right, so boom, you see that there's a tackle, whatever, pulling over, kind of gets pushed back a little bit, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, to me, he's a little bit too big for that to be happening. You would want to see him really go through that, but I don't think that he was expecting it. So that's just like a growing lesson for him. But boom, but he still plays with the effort. That's the part that I really love, guys. Whenever players come in and they're going to play with a high level of effort, Coach G is going to get them right. Even here, double team, that looks really good. So this looks, so obviously he's getting double teamed here. He's fighting through. But watch this part right here. Watch this part. Okay, now we saw this a lot watching our guys going through their drills and spring practice and stuff. We see them getting around a dummy with that hand, pull through, rip through, and and try to take that flat angle. Look at that. Okay, so he's taken to the teaching, guys. That's why we do all these drills. He's taken to that teaching. So there's a lot of things that I like about Wallace. There's a lot of things that I like about him. I think that he will take that step forward this season for sure. And we will see how all that looks. But those are the guys. Like, those are pretty much what our veterans look like. I mean, I think that we are at a pretty decent spot. I would say that you maybe want to add one more body. I don't know if the staff is going to do that or not. Would probably have to be the right situation at this point, because we missed out on a couple of guys that I think that we did actually target, like the kid from LSU, Suggs. I really liked him. He would have been a great addition to this line because he was a bigger guy that was also really twitchy. So he could have been, pretty multiple and versatile for us. But at this point, as it stands, Tennessee probably will be leaning more on the underclassmen and stuff. People have to grow up. They're going to have to get in there and, they're going to have to step it up. So let me get back to the chat. Let me see, where are we at? Y'all know how I always lose my spot. Okay, so I think that we are actually right here. I found it a little bit quick on this one. So from John saying that he's so solid in coverage, I think we need that. So he's talking about Dixon. Yeah, I think so. I think that that'd be good to add him for sure. I don't think that would hurt us by any means. From Kong Davis, saying we got a lot of holding calls when Nico rolled out. Maybe that's why we saw less of it. That's an excellent point. That is a really good point because I didn't even think about that. But that is true. We did get those holding calls, and that has to make you think, doesn't it? Because typically, whenever you're rolling out, the side that you're rolling to, you should be blocking down on that side. Those should be easier blocks. You should be setting up like a wall right there. You know what I mean? And I just don't know. I think a lot of the stuff is with our scheme. I think that our blocking schemes are not the most offensive line friendly. I don't want to start the whole Coach E thing, but there's a lot of things that I'm looking at with him, and I don't know if that's just with him, if that's with the whole offensive scheme or what. But yeah, changes need to be made. But that is an excellent point. That could be why we didn't roll out as much. Excellent point. All right, so from EBRDY, and also you think George McIntyre can start in 2026? I think that he has the chance to. I think that GMAC is really good, or not GMAC, but Merck. I think that Merck is really, really good too. He's really good. So I think that Merck's going to get that first opportunity, obviously being inside of the system longer. But man, GMAC is very talented. The interesting thing is going to be, so this would be year two. So 2026 would be Merck's technically, that could be his last year. So Merck could come out, start that season, and go pro. Now, I think that's best case for everybody. He goes, balls out, puts up crazy numbers, maybe gets into the Heisman race. You know what I'm saying? Tennessee wins a national title. He goes on to be, hey, this guy could maybe be the first pick overall. I think that should be the goal for Merck. Then you got GMAC and you got Faison Brandon after that for 2027. I think that's the season that we're going to see. Can we hold on to both of those guys? And obviously at that point, we'll probably have another young quarterback that comes in too. But that's the thing, because man, I'm gonna tell you, Faison is a dog too. He's really good. So yeah, I think that he would have the opportunity to, but I'm leaning more towards probably going to be Merck starting 2026. From Randy Stout saying Hurd was also hurt. Yeah, so yeah, Lance Hurd started the season off. He was out of shape to start the season off. Then he does get hurt, goes out for like close to like a month, comes back way out of shape versus Arkansas. Large part of the reason that Tennessee lost that game. I have no idea what the hell he was doing with that downtime, and I look at the coaches for that too. Why isn't he inside of a pool or doing something to stay in some sort of shape? Like, why isn't that happening? It just kind of felt like he was sitting around, not doing much of anything from a cardio perspective. But yeah, so that's very true. And as he got back into shape, he looked better and better. I'm gonna tell you, he looked good at the end of the season. There's a lot of things that I saw him doing that I haven't seen our offensive line do in a long time. So he's gonna be fine. I know people think he's not, but I'm not even worried about him. Let's see, where's the next one at? From Mountaineer 865 saying, I get that. I think Hurd is pretty good at run blocking and not great at pass pro. Yeah, so his pass blocking got way better. Way better. You also have to understand that, and I'm not going to say that it was great because it wasn't great. I would say that it was good. But all of our offensive line's pass blocking was pretty poor, especially our tackles. We don't do a good job teaching them how to pass block, and that's a problem. I've said that a million times. We got to bring in somebody to help with that, because whatever they're teaching them is not working at all, because it's too consistent. Like, they're getting beat the same way consistently, and they're different people, like 3 or 4 different people getting beat the same ways. That's a technique flaw. Has to be. From Jim Smithson saying, get rid of Mac or Pope, neither doing their jobs. Get rid of Mac or Pope. Who is Mac? Are you talking about so maybe you're talking about Coach Sims? Yeah, so I mean, listen, I wouldn't say, now for me, Coach Sims, this was his first season. Coach Pope, there's some things that I didn't love, and really even listening to Travis Smith talk, and I hate to even really bring this up too much, and we might actually watch that together on this channel. He was saying some things without trying not to say too much. It did lead me to believe that there is a problem with Coach Pope and with our wide receivers that might be a little bit bigger than the insiders are letting on. I'm just speculating on that, but I don't know. I would like to hold on to Pope, but he's going to have to get it right. If Pope is a problem, look, I don't care. Whoever's a problem, then yeah, they need to go. But that's up to Coach Hype. If you see that someone is a problem, then you need to go ahead and cut ties and bring in somebody else. From David Speaks, Sam Moy will be our best pass rush defensive tackle this year. I see David Hobbs, Easton, and Bailey doing work too. Yeah, I still think that. I mean, listen, Bryson Easton, Bryson Easton might be best. I mean, but that's the thing is that we've got a lot of people inside of that. You know what I mean? That can really get after that passer. They're good versus the run, but we don't have a true, hey, like you need to dedicate 2 bodies at the line of scrimmage to these guys. We don't really have that. So that's more of what I'm saying. Like we need to try to find somebody like that, and maybe we can win with speed. That's up to Coach Banks. You got to find ways to win with your personnel. But yeah, excellent point. I think that we don't have some of the guys we had from last year, but hopefully we can take steps forward and maybe they can kind of mimic it some. From David T saying Tim Banks is a young coach. If he signs aging with us going into his 5th year, then I'm riding hard with him. He has some things to learn, and he has to get better at not blitzing, but when to. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I don't think that Coach Banks is a bad defensive coordinator, y'all, by any means. He's definitely not. I think he's a very good DC. But yeah, he is going to have to work on some different things. He's got to continue to mix it up. Same thing for all of our coaches. From David Speaks, I think David Gusta chose Kentucky because of how deep we are at defensive tackle. That's an excellent point. That could be very true. And that could be the same thing with the guy from LSU. Maybe guys don't want to rotate in, but I would think that if anything, you want to rotate in because we've shown and proven that, hey, you can get less reps, stay fresher, have less risk of injury, and still be a potential first-round draft pick, like a Omar Norman-Lott. He's a potential first-round draft pick at defensive tackle, and he wasn't even a starter for us. So to me, that should be a good place. That should be something good to look at. I have heard some defensive linemen, y'all. I can tell you this straight up. I've heard some defensive linemen say that they don't want to play for Coach G because he's too tough on them. I say you don't want players like that. If you don't want to be coached hard, then you don't want those types of guys, and that could be the issue there too. So some players, they want to have it easy. Hey, this is going to be fun, and we're not going to yell at you, we're not going to be hard on you, and we're just going to pat you on the back all the time. Those guys typically don't have a whole lot of success on the next level. From Matt SS saying, when is the transfer portal closed for teams to sign players? I think so. They need to be signed by the time that your classes start. I want to say that Tennessee starts our classes a little bit later. I think it's January the 21st, just a little bit later. So a lot of these other, a lot of the people that are out there right now, they have to get in there. If I'm not mistaken, I could be off on that. I think that's when you need to have them in. They have to be signed before classes start. And there's always a way around stuff. I can tell you that from playing and all that. I promise you, the stuff they say it's set in stone. If they want you, they'll find those loopholes, buddy. I promise you, they will find them. They're good at that. So we'll see. We have a couple more weeks, but I would say that for sure, Tennessee should be closing out on stuff here pretty quickly. And actually too, I'm trying to think how exactly would this work. So I want to say that they might actually even have, maybe it is whenever class start up in this next term, or it could be maybe by that term even after that. See what I'm saying? So like obviously the season hasn't started up yet, so there's summer classes and stuff. You could get guys signed by then if they want to wait, and stuff like that. So let's get to Charles Tolston saying, P, nobody ever mentions Emmanuel Okoye. He is going to have a say in the Leo and strong side DN spot. Yeah. So I really like him. The last thing that I read, I want to say that it was last week from one of the insiders, was that he's not big enough. I think he was big enough last season. I mean, like, unless his listed size was wrong, 6'5", 245, 6'6", 240, or, something like that. I mean, that's James Pierce's size. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't need to be, whenever you are an edge rusher, you don't have to be super thick, because he's a long, wiry guy. I think he's very strong at the point of contact. Yeah, I think that once he comes off of his injury, and hopefully he could be ready by spring, hopefully so, right? But I think he's a guy that could definitely make a whole lot of noise at that position, because his talent level is through the roof. His talent level is crazy, because he's got some of the longest arms. That he's got like a 7-foot wingspan or something at like 6'6", and he's super twitchy. And again, he's like just naturally strong. Like, I've seen him in some clips where he's like one-arming people, boom, just throwing them with one arm with horrible technique. So hopefully he's starting to get his technique and funds down better. But I think he's one that people tend to sleep on too. All right, from the next one. See the next one right here from Charles Tolston saying bull. I mean, okay, so I missed it. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So when you say P, it's all good, brother. From David Speaks saying that Okoye may be a three deep rotation, or I'm sorry, a three deep rotational player, but he will be a factor if in 26 if he stays. I think that he could be a factor this season, but for sure in 26, the biggest thing, like I just touched on, is he's going to have to. How does he look playing football? Now he looked a lot more natural the last time that I watched him play. I want to say that might have been versus UT Chattanooga. Looked more natural, still didn't look quite as natural, but I mean, he's, a lot of these guys have played for, 16 years. They've played for a long time, 15, 14, 15 years or so, 16, 17 years. So they have a head start over him. So as he continues to get better, as he continues to learn how to play the game, he's going to get better exponentially. That's the best way for me to say it. All right, so let's see. The next one right here is from SEC football. Hey, Blue Chip, we need more 5-star players. Yeah, you could always use more 5-star players. So hopefully in 2026, Tennessee can do that. Let me also tell y'all this real quick. Well, let me. I'm gonna get right back to yours, David. But let me tell y'all this real quick. Dang, I can't think of his name now. The linebacker from Grayson High School, and I cannot believe his name is now Tyler Atkinson. Let me tell y'all right here, right now, that is a generational talent on defense. We need a guy like that. We need that. Like he's like a Faison Brandon on defense. He's like a David Sanders on defense. He's going to be extremely special. Extremely special. He's a guy that, and sad to say, but it sounds like Georgia is his leading school right now. Tennessee, I would be willing. This is me personally. I'll be willing to sacrifice and say, hey, look, we're going to take whatever it takes. We're going to take $6 million of our NIL funds and say, hey, we're going to be shorthanded in a couple of spots, but we got to have Tyler Atkinson. We got to have him because we can't let Georgia have him. Because if Georgia gets him, I think just by himself, Georgia goes back to 2021, 2022 defense as a freshman. That's how good he is. That's how good he is by himself. He's that sort of player. So I think that it's worth it to say we're not going to let Georgia do that again. We're going to take him, or whatever we have to do. Georgia can't have him. To me, he's worth $6 million. We talked about Jeremiah Smith this season as a true freshman. What he's doing. What did I say? I say, hey, look, $7 to $8 million to get him to get him inside the portal. Tyler Atkinson is that on defense. So I've been wanting to say that, but yeah, Tennessee needs that guy. We need him. Go look up his film. Go watch what he did in Georgia State Championship in the highest classification versus Juju Lewis. You know what I'm saying? Versus a really good Carrollton team. Go check that out. He's a dog. Got to have him. He should be number one priority. We should be dedicating a lot of time to just go out and getting him. All right, so let me get back to you, David. Saying that Nico has to be pro ready for GMAC or Mark or Merck to start in 26. Let me say this. If Nico could enter into the NFL draft this season, he would probably be a first-round draft pick, just based off of his talent. He's that talented. I promise you. His talent level is through the freaking roof. And I think the NFL teams will look at him more based off of that. Now, obviously, this season, he is going to have to produce and take care of the football and all that. But as far as seeing all the throws, listen, guys, that's there. That's there right now. I promise you. He would be he would have one of the better arms in the NFL right now, just as far as arm talent. Like, for real. He is the real deal. Didn't look great, just as far as his numbers and stuff. He will grow. He does have to get better, and I get what your point is. But Nico's gone after next season. I can almost guarantee it. Even if he doesn't play great, he's gone because he's still going to get drafted high. From Charles Tolston saying Faison Brandon is that dude. He's going to make GMAC and Merck very nervous. Yeah, he is for sure. I think that they all probably, you know what I'm saying? We got some quarterbacks now, and all of them have great arm talent. What I love, too, is that GMAC is like Nico with his arm talent. And I think that Faison is kind of a little bit more similar to Merck with their arm talent. To me, they're more like touch passers, whereas GMAC and Nico are more like, hey, we're going to fit it into a tight window sort of pass. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, Excellent. And that's a great problem for us to have right now. So I'm proud of that. From Deborah P. Hey, Deborah, what's going on? How do you think Satterwhite will do at center, and who would be his backup? I think that Satterwhite's going to be just fine. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, Cooper Mays was great. I'm not saying that Satterwhite's going to come in and just be Cooper Mays, but I think he's going to be very, very good. I think his backup, it could either be Nick Moore as a true freshman who looked good coming out of high school. We'll see how he looks up on campus, or it could be Max Anderson, because Max Anderson also looked really good, especially towards the end of the season playing at center. So we've got three guys that look really, really good right there that are all young. So the future is bright at center for Tennessee. We all know that was a problem for us earlier with Coach Heupel, and they definitely got that figured out. Excuse me, that's something that the staff has done a really good job of, is turning our weaknesses into strengths. So proud of them for that, but hopefully we can do that again with our scheme. All right, so from Charles Tolston saying Jordan Ross will emerge as that guy, possibly more natural talent than James Pierce. I think so too. And actually, yesterday somebody had asked me, who do I think is going to start at Leo? And I said Jordan Ross, and it could still be him, but I forgot that Joshua Josephs is also coming back. So, that room is filthy loaded. But yeah, Jordan Ross is a ridiculous talent too, for sure. From Matthew Wolfenberger, I hope that I said that right. Amari Jefferson is twitchy as it gets. He will make an impact. I think that he will definitely make an impact. He is a twitchy player. I think that he can do some really good things for this team, for this offense. Exactly what we needed. Your breakdowns are awesome, brother. And that is from OBRDY. Thank you so much for that. I didn't realize how far over an hour we've gotten. From Big Dogs Got to Eat. Yes, classes at Tennessee start on the 21st. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know that. From Larry Martin, did Tyree graduate? I hoped he would be back. Good show, by the way. Thank you for that, Larry. Yeah, so Tyree should be back next season. Tyree West, that's what we're talking about. He should be back next season. We also have Tyree Weathersby, Don Bailey, Marion Dye, Jaden Lofton. You know what I mean? I skipped over some people. Carson Gentle. What's the other guy? There's another 4-star in that we got. I can't think of his name right now, but he was a freshman this season. So yeah, we're still deep. We're still deep up front, y'all. Make no mistake about it. From Kong Davis saying, if playtime goes the way it did last season, then Amari will be twitchy on the bench, sad face emoji. Yeah, no, I don't think that they're gonna do that again. I think that they learn from it. So hopefully he does get to play. I think he's gonna get rotated in for sure. And also, we don't have that many bodies, so he might have to rotate just to keep people fresh. From David Speaks, he's compared to Roquan Smith. So definitely is. Yeah, that's exactly who he is, y'all. And I think that he could be even better. Like that's who he is. We got to go get him. We got to go get him. That's got to be number one priority at this point. I saw some things where the coaches were out on the road. I think that they were talking about stopping by Grayson and actually talking to him. So, hey, look, send the whole staff down there, whenever you go see him. Send the whole staff. We're going to send the whole staff to come see you, son, because you mean that much to us. Hey, listen, you tell us what you need. Tell us what we got to do. We're gonna bring you in. Yeah, he's a must-have. That one right there, dude, look, y'all, I would be through the roof if we could add him. That would be crazy because the linebacker room is already deep. From David Speaks, talking about Herring, yes. Oh, yeah, for sure. So Caleb Herring, he actually plays Leo, but I think he could play strong side DN too. But yeah, we got plenty of bodies. From John Clevenger, what's going on, buddy? Saying, as good as Milton looked, is that a negative reflection on our QB coaching or use of him in our scheme? Yeah, so actually, I think that you and I may have talked about Milton some whenever everyone was just saying, hey, man, he kind of sucks. I'm telling you, man, we have the talent. I think that it was a lot more to do with our scheme. Like, it's tough to look at a guy like Milton at 6'5", 240 pounds, and he can move and do standing backflips, and he can throw the ball probably 95 yards. I mean, that is a very talented player. You got to find a way to, hey, he's overthrowing stuff. He's throwing it too hard. Well, you're the coach. You should be able to get him out of that. So, yeah, I think that is a problem. I do. And hopefully Nico can show improve, because obviously Hendo Cinco came in and he did a great job with it. I would also say that that Hendo Cinco would be closest like a Faison Brandon, just as far as, like how they throw the football and stuff. But anyway, Nico, he's going to have to find that touch and all that. And I think he will. We're going to make this quick, y'all, because my deal is about to die here. So from David Speaks will be the last one. Herring still here after spring. I think that he will still be here after spring. At least I hope that he will be, because he's going to get rotated in. And as you know, again, as we talked about, you don't have to be a starter with Coach G to be a draft pick at all, or even better, a potential first round draft pick. But that's going to be it, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do make sure to like and subscribe on your way out, and we will see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.